Zippers can feel intimidating, especially when they show up inside a project and you're suddenly expected to know what to do. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by zippers, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because the basics usually get skipped. In this video, we're going to slow down and focus on the zipper itself, so next time you see one in a project, it's not nearly as scary. Hi, I'm Victoria, and I help you sew practical, stylish accessories that are ready for real life and real adventures. In this video, we'll start by breaking down the basics, what the parts of a zipper are, and what zipper length actually refers to. Then we'll walk through how to sew a zipper step by step in a way that applies to pretty much any project. And at the end, I'll briefly show you what to do if the zipper you have is longer than the one your project calls for. Now, before we sew anything, let's quickly look at the parts of a zipper, because having names for things makes everything else easier to understand. The main fabric part on either side is the tape. It's basically the body of the zipper. This is the part you're actually sewing through. Running down the center are the teeth. These can be plastic or metal, depending on the zipper. I'll be demonstrating with plastic today, but if you use a metal one, you'll want to be extra careful to ensure that your machine needle doesn't come in contact with the teeth. The moving piece here is called the zipper pull, sometimes the slider. On a finished zipper, you'll also see a stop, which can be a plastic or metal piece that prevents the pull from sliding right off. And finally, there are the tails. These are the extra bits of tape at each end and above the pull and below the stop. Now, you may have wondered what is actually being measured when a project calls for a specific length. For example, if a project calls for a 7-inch zipper, what is that 7 inches actually referring to? Is it the length of the teeth between the pull and the stop? Or is it the entire length of the whole thing? Well, zipper length is measured from one end of the tape to the other. Basically, the entire length of the zipper, including the tails. So this zipper is labeled as a 9-inch zipper because the full length from here to here is 9 inches. Now, when you're buying a zipper, you don't need to measure it. The package will already be labeled with the correct length. So if you need 9 inches, just look for the package labeled 9 inches. Now, some of the common zipper lengths you'll see are 7 inches, 9 inches, 14 inches, and 21 inches. And if you need a size that you don't have, you can shorten a longer zipper. We'll touch on that later. Before we start, there are a couple of quick setup steps that make working with a zipper much easier. To sew a zipper, you'll want to use a zipper foot. Almost every machine comes with one, so this usually isn't something that you need to go out and buy separately. Now, yours might look a little bit different than mine, but they all work the same way. A zipper foot is designed so it can sit right next to the zipper teeth instead of on top of them. That lets the foot rest flat on the zipper tape while your stitching runs close to the teeth. This helps in two ways. First, it keeps everything aligned because the edge of the foot stays right up against the teeth. And second, it helps the machine feed the tape smoothly instead of hovering over top of it because of the raised teeth, which would cause uneven stitching or tension issues. Now, some zipper feet can be attached on either side. I usually leave mine on one side and just turn the zipper around as needed. Now, before we sew, there's just one prep step that makes zippers much easier to handle. If you look at the ends of the zipper, you'll notice that the tails at one end stay nice and parallel, while the end with the zipper pull tends to fan out. Sewing these tails together just keeps everything aligned so your zipper doesn't shift while working with it. To do that, just pull the zipper down slightly so it's out of the way. Then clip or pin the tails together at the end. At the machine, sew a short straight stitch across the tails, just enough to hold them together. I usually go back and forth a couple of times to secure it. You're basically just tacking it to make it easier to work with. Now, with that done, we're ready to start sewing the zipper itself. Most people only ever buy bias tape, and that's totally fine. But you can make your own, and it's way more flexible than store-bought. When you make it yourself, you're not stuck with solid colors that almost match. You can use any fabric, make as much as you want, and it's usually softer and easier to work around curves. The problem is, once you do that, no one really tells you what to do with it. It doesn't come neatly wrapped on cardboard, and it very quickly turns into a tangled drawer situation. That's why I made my bias tape storage cards. They're sturdy, laminated chipboard, not flimsy cardstock. Each set comes with 6 cards and 6 clips, and you can hang them, stack them, and even stand them up like mini fabric bolts. They give you a clean way to wrap and store the bias tape or piping that you already took the time to make, so it stays neat, visible, and actually usable next time. If you make your own bias tape or you think you might someday, they're available in my shop on my website. I'll have it linked below if you want to check them out. All right, back to the video. I'll be demonstrating on a 9-inch zipper using scrap fabric. Start by laying one piece of fabric right side up. Place the zipper face down on top, lining up the long edge of the zipper tape with the edge of the fabric. Clip it in place to hold everything steady. At the machine, line up the zipper foot so it sits right up against the zipper teeth. Before you start sewing, pull the zipper pull all the way down so it's out of the way. Sew a straight stitch down the zipper tape, keeping the edge of the foot aligned with the teeth. Now take your time here. If your machine has speed control, I'd recommend putting it on the slowest setting. Now, this doesn't need to be perfect. The goal is just to get it attached and reasonably aligned. As you get close to where the zipper pull would start to interfere, stop with the needle down and lift the presser foot up. Hold the zipper in place and slide the pull past the needle, then lower the foot and continue sewing to the end. Finish with a quick back stitch to secure it. Once that side is sewn, flip the zipper and fabric open so everything lies flat and press it with an iron. Now, if you're using a plastic zipper, just be sure to avoid ironing directly over the teeth. To attach the other side, lay your second piece of fabric right side up. Then place the zipper face down on top, lining up the edges the same way as before. The process is exactly the same. The only difference is that the zipper is already attached to one piece of fabric. Now clip it in place and sew it the same way as before. Once both sides are attached, flip everything open and press it flat again. To finish, top stitch along each side of the zipper. Using the zipper foot so close to where the fabric meets the zipper tape. This helps keep the fabric in the correct position and prevents it from shifting or getting caught. At this point, you've sewn a zipper. Now, before you go, let's look at how to shorten a zipper because that's a really useful skill when you don't have the exact size needed. Let's say you have a project that calls for a 4-inch zipper. You might be able to find one that size, but it's not as common. So it can be easier just to shorten one you already have. I'm using a 9-inch zipper again, and we'll just shorten it down to the length that we need. Starting at the top with the zipper pull, just measure down the length that you want. In this case, 4 inches. And mark the spot. Once marked, go ahead and trim off the tape so the total length is what you need, 4 inches for me. Now to keep the zipper from sliding off, we need to create a new stop. At the machine, sew a straight stitch back and forth across the zipper at the new end. The stitching can be close to the edge or slightly in from it as long as it does the job. Now you want enough stitching here to actually stop the zipper pull. It doesn't need to be perfect or look pretty, it just needs to be secure. Now one note about the teeth. If you're working with a metal zipper, you'll want to sew on either side of the teeth instead. This usually means going slowly and using the hand wheel to control where the needle goes so you don't sew directly into the metal and risk breaking a needle. And that's actually all there is to it. You've just shortened a zipper. That's it for zippers. I hope they feel less intimidating now. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more. And if you want another sewing fundamental, check out this video. Bye!